Caution, the video podcast you're about to see is unedited and may contain opinions and language not suitable for all ages. Viewer discretion is advised. All right, welcome back to Two Broke Airsofters. Again, I'm Drew, a.k.a. Lil Reaper, and
I'm Tyler, a.k.a. Legion.
And today's topic happens to be bitch buckets, which most of you might know as high caps. Then you got your mid caps, and of course your real caps or low caps. We're going to demonstrate all of them real quick. Tyler's got some over there. Of course, I've got probably multiple more than him just because I happen to go down that genre. But one thing you got is, of course, your mid caps and your low caps. Low caps usually hold about 30 rounds. Some of them actually, the new mag pools, you can click over between 30 and 60 rounds. And then, of course, you got your mid cap, which mine hold 120. I don't know what yours hold. Mine are the Elite Force. A little shout out there.
Yeah, my standard is the just plain Jane 120 mid cap.
And now with that, you also need a good speed loader. That's probably one of the drawbacks, but it is good. Then, of course, we get into what we like to call bitch buckets. Everybody calls them that. The reason is because there's this big bucket that you pour a bunch of BBs into. You call them a bitch bucket is because somebody just sits there and whines and whines and whines and now made a M4 into a basic support weapon with that little wheel on the bottom. Now with that one also, just some interesting other stuff. We have the Lonex, which has the little pull your string table down there. And that way you can say somebody actually pulled your cord. Then, of course, we have my favorite, which is the electric fed beta mag, which holds roughly around 3,000, 4,000 rounds. Then, of course, the other high cap we have is the LMG mags, but, of course, they should be high caps. So let's start off. I mean, what are some of the advantages, disadvantages? Let's start with the low caps. I mean, real caps. A lot of the gas guns are going to them where they're just 30 rounds. Is there an advantage? Is there a disadvantage? What's the go point?
If you're looking for mil-sim, getting as realistic as you can get, the low cap's the way to go. If you want to go out and have a game going where you got to change out your rounds every 30 shots, you got to change out your mag every 30 shots, that's the way to go. You're going to get the most realistic experience when it comes to rounds down target. Now, somebody might argue that your mid caps that are more along the lines of 60s, 120s are more realistic because you're going to be shooting 3 rounds, 4 rounds.
Well, and you're going to have to put more down range because how many idiots do you know are going to call it on that first shot? Especially some of the mil-sim games where you're going, 80, 90 feet. You're probably going against the wind. Now you're having to readjust or you're shooting into a massive group. Does the realism work with AGs more than it does with gas, or is gas where the real cap needs to stay?
I think that you have more of a difference, not between gas and electric, but rather between the FPS and the weight of the BB. I think really it's the joules that's going to be the big difference, because a guy can shrug off .20s that are hitting him at 300 feet per second, but it's a lot harder to shrug off a .4 that's going 500 feet per second out of a sniper rifle.
So if I put it on my HPA, then does it make a difference in that, since I can go ahead and dial it into whatever FPS I need? That's true. Does that differentiate? Does that make the low cap? Yeah, does that make the low cap any worse or any better? Because personally, and I love these little things, and I actually got them off of one of our teammates, I use these in my DMR because they're that shorty mag, and it gives that DMR look. It gives that definition of what a DMR is. No rounds, long barrel, semi-only, flip and trip. Mm-hmm. I like it. Yeah. And, of course, the LM4s, same thing. I like it. But, me and you both, mid-cap babies. I mean, we've run them to death and run them all day long. So is there an advantage to them?
I mean, I think so personally. I think they make me a better player because I pay a lot more attention to where my rounds are going, how many I'm sending down range, and I'm not screwing around just winding and shooting. We made the joke about that. Yeah, we made the joke about the speed softer who just runs around with the chicken wing winding it. But I mean, it's not just.
And it's just like this. I mean, that's all you hear.
But it's not just the speed softeners, to be fair. It's a lot of people will go with the mid cap or with the high cap and just run around, even in a milsim game, doing that.
My opinion, I'm going to put it out there. Let me put the big freaking air quotes up there for all you little dick snots out there that want to quote me on it. My opinion, you use a bitch bucket, you're a bitch. You have no ability to aim and or acquisition a target. All you're doing is making yourself a support gunner and spraying and praying for no reason whatsoever. You're somewhat degrading the game. I mean, the only people I think that should be using the bitch buckets are noobs. And it's because what comes with every gun?
Yeah, bitch bucket.
What are you going to learn to shoot with? They don't have any gear, so what do? Take 2 of these, throw them in your blue jean pockets, and now you've got 500 rounds, vice yourself and myself who carry around a good loadout set, and of course we can carry 15 mags or 7 mags or whatever and have that capacity. But grown ass men, any true freaking milsimmer who uses a bitch bucket needs to have his man card revoked and go play freaking paintball or something, because
do you think it's okay? Should it be standard operating procedure to use high caps, bitch buckets in a speed soft game? Should that be just the rule of thumb?
No, because if you go and look them, and I'm going to go ahead and put this shout out here too. Tac City just did a game, a Speed QB tournament. Speed QB, go look it up. Great guys. Mid caps only. They were only allowed 2 rifles, and they had to go semi-auto. Do we see a conversion going on here? It's not milsim, but somebody has come to the standard that, holy shit, you can aim. Now you're having to pay attention to what you're doing. Now you're having to keep that round count. Now you're having to keep your teams together. Now you're having to rely on your teammate to come over and hand you that extra mag that he's got on his back. To me, it like you said, it's more milsim, but it's also, like my grandfather told me when I was a kid, treat every dad blame weapon as if it were loaded and ready to go. Airsoft's the same way. How you train is how you're going to play in the real world. That's just the way it is. Of course, y'all in the Air Force, I don't know how y'all did it. Usually, handed the gun to a Marine or left it on the table. But
well, so let me take the opposite viewpoint just for a second. So you call them bitch buckets, and people who use them are bitches. I flip it around. I only bust the bitch bucket out when some bitches are on the field. I keep it labeled. This is for people who don't call their hits. This puppy goes in, that puppy goes in, and we're going to make sure you call them.
Yeah, okay. So now you're talking mag dumping, but not in a milsim event. You're talking mag dumping at like your local field, and that's what they call it. I mean, and you can see it too, and a lot of speed softers do it. It's called mag dumping. You bunker somebody and you dump a freaking mag on him because the idiot won't call. He has no integrity, or he's just wearing 2,000 pounds of freaking cry and plate armor and all that and can't fill it. That does take away from the game, hence why I say the mid caps are the way to go, because you do have that ability to shift your rounds around. But now let's go ahead and give the description on why they're bitch buckets though. So we call them bitch buckets, baby rattles, high caps. And the reason is what happens whenever you start running around the field and you've got 2 or 3 of them on you. Yeah. Every sniper's dream. Oh, I can hear him a mile away. Now, is there something that they can be used for other than just say field play, like out at D14 where you've got a bunch of group of guys together? Some are mill simmers, some are weekend simmers, some are guys who just bought guns. Is there a standard for those?
Sure. Some people might just identify, look, I'm not at the level that you all are at. The accuracy of this gun I bought at Walmart's not that great. I'm getting into the sport. Sure, I've been playing a couple of years, but I haven't had the money to put into the fancy stuff. And this is just the level I'm at. And I think if we're all honest with each other, it's not that big a deal.
But how long should you be at that level? Do you want to stay at that level? Are you progressing? Do you want your friends to stay at that level, or do you want them to come up in the community like everybody else?
And I'm not going to hold it against somebody.
Well, and who sets that standard? Is it me? Is it you? Is it the field? Is it the community as a whole? Or is it whatever game you're playing?
I think the community as a whole is going to set a standard whether they intend to or not. just us calling them bitch buckets is setting a standard. You know, people aren't going to want to be the guy carrying the thing with the nasty name. But at the same time, I think that people will continue to use them.
I don't know.
Just because that's all they have access to or want to use.
Well, I don't know, because we're going to a milsim game, and it's not involving magazines, but there's a bunch of little crying babies right now on the forum who want to use full auto at a milsim game. Is that person that would break out a bitch bucket in the middle of a milsim game and use it? You know, I think they're great for new players. I think they're great for mag dumping that idiot. I think they're great for shooting in a backyard, for your local field roll. But like us, we're milsimmers. Everybody knows it. We're going to use the mid caps. Now, here comes the other question, since I already broke it out. Does this make me a support gunner?
I would say yeah. I mean,
but why does it make me a support gunner? What's the difference between this and this high cap, besides the BBs that I have? Because a lot of people will argue this makes me a support gunner because it's a bigger magazine. Does it truly?
Well, in terms of milsim, as long as you keep it to semi only.
No, milsim support gun would be full auto.
Yeah, but if you're carrying an M14, versus an M4. I mean, the truth about all airsoft guns is that they can be a support weapon, they can be a sniper rifle, they can be whatever you want. You just got to change the internals. The outside's all, cosmetic up to a point.
Yeah.
So I can turn an M4, which is supposed to be a carbine, into a full-on machine gun firing, 45, 50 rounds a second. And
dropping them out at a good distance and all. So that's another thing, do you take, how high do you go on the high cap until it becomes, because what's that one gun that loads in the back, and it is a support weapon, but they use a high cap in it and load it in the back. Some of the 249s carry them in the side, are they legitimate there? I mean, in real life, you use it like that. You can take a magazine, shove it right into that bad boy, and rip the town on it. So
I think as a community, we need to reassess the way we define things. Because I remember when we started, a DMR had a fixed butt stock, and it's really, how can a DMR fire 3,000 rounds a minute? This is ridiculous.
Well, and see, a lot of them are going to that. They are stating that you have to have a mid cap, a long barrel, the fixed stock, and this and that. But, it comes back to that whole point of who's setting the standard. Who is making it a national standard? Because it does differ from the East Coast, the West Coast, the Center. It differs from field to field. It differs from promoter to promoter. There's not a set standard of anything. So, do we start setting a standard at magazines to start with? And then do we set a standard at FPS, and so on and so forth. But you've got to start somewhere. And, of course, we're starting with magazines. We're going completely off topic. But, hey, who cares? It's our freaking show. If you don't like it, little fucking button right there. Oh, it would be right where Elite Force is, and actually right where Bo is. See that person right there? Yeah, I'm scratching his booty real quick. Yeah, okay, that happened. But
I think just like you said, what we're going to see somebody's going to standardize. So Speed QB has already set a standard. This is what we're going to do. So this sub community is setting it up, and then somebody else is going to try to jump on that bandwagon and say, all right, this has been set, we're going to set it, and it'll be a domino effect across that platform. So as soon as the big operations and the big milsimmers start doing it, you'll see it there as well.
Yeah, you see me traveling away from you, don't worry about it, because I actually have to come over here real quick and come back.
If you could wear longer shorts next time, that would be perfect for everyone.
I'm telling you. But, I guess it is a personal opinion, though, also, because at the field I work at, everybody's running high caps. But, like we said, it's those freaking speed softers. But now I've seen a lot of the speed softers going to mid caps because HPAs feed them freaking flawlessly.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of your high caps won't keep up with guns anymore. I mean, some of those DSGs and all, high caps just can't keep up with that speed and with that rate of fire that it's putting out. So, you're pretty much stuck using mid caps. And then, of course, now you get into the question, how many mid caps do you carry?
Do you go mil-sim accurate and you limit it to what, a normal person could carry in real life? Because this fully loaded mid-cap does not weigh very much.
Okay,
and a fully loaded
but you said
M4
what you carry in
magazine
real
weighs.
life. How many did you carry in the service? And give me the God's honest truth. How many did you carry?
I think the least I ever carried was 12.
Okay, because, sorry to say this right now, whoever was the stupid idiot in our unit, he had a backpack. Guess how many went in that backpack? Yeah, anytime we went to the field, you had multiple mags everywhere. Now, one of the promoters out now is, I think it was 1,500 rounds, and now they're starting to say 7 mags. Is 7 mags a good limitation? Because now you're actually having to use your team plus your mags and start doing a round accountability and so on and so forth.
Now, 7 magazines, that's like military doctrine accurate. That's what you get told to carry, but, reality is different.
Well, and also you're thinking about it this way. Yeah, I just put my patch on. Gotta love it. 7 mags. I mean, most people don't want mags on their front anymore, so now they're starting to carry them on their battle belts or on their sides. The reason being is you don't want to lay down on these bad boys when you have to drop into a prone position. Are you going into prone and airsoft a lot? I'm not. My knees are bad. I'm standing up vertical and firefighting you all day long. I'm too old to do that crap. But some of these young gunners, maybe they're going to. Now, does that play into effect what mid-cap you buy, whether you get the metal mid-cap, whether you get the plastic mid-cap, whether you get the high cap, whether you get the low cap? Is that another issue to think about along with gear?
Oh, it's all going to be integrated. I mean, you can't look at any of these things in isolation. You can't just be like, all right, I'm going to buy, all of these plastic mid caps and not think about the weapon that they're going to go into, not think about the gear you're going to carry them in, not going to think about how you're going to grab them out of that gear.
Well, and then you start talking about the different guns, because now you've got M4 mags, you've got AK mags, you've got MP5 mags, you've got Scar H, you've got the M110s. Now you've got guns that don't have mid-caps, because there are a couple guns out there that don't have mid-caps to them yet, and companies are trying to build them into it. Do you allow those guns on the field since the person bought them, even though they don't have a mid-cap to them?
That starts coming down to, does the promoter have to just deny that type of weapon, and then they kind of lose a little realism with it?
Yeah. But is it a true mil-sim game, or is it like what we used to do at E14, where it was a loose mil-sim game, I should say? Jay and them ran a great business out there. They had good little games. I remember we ran Texas Star, where it was, the Vietnam era. It was great because guys would come out with the real caps, put them into the M4, M16 long barrels. Of course, we're out there with AKs. It's great. But some of those AKs, like the beta, will only take the beta. So you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
But does it affect your gameplay is, I guess, my big question. Is there a big difference in gameplay between a mid-cap and a high-cap?
I think only if you let it. Only if you allow yourself to go crazy and do the mag dumps and do the full auto, no trigger control, spray and pray all day long. Anybody can do trigger discipline and round count with a high cap.
So basically we're back to it's the idiot behind the gun, not the gun and or the magazine.
It is the trigger actuator nut that will determine.
Or for those of y'all who happen to know any hardcore military and not the fluffy military, it's your booger picker. Don't have 2 beers before the show. But your booger picker is what actually, that's what determines how many mags I carry right there. So it's all, I guess, what you want. But then again, it's all what you're taught also. And do we teach the kids to start with mid caps, or do we teach them to start with high caps? Something's got to happen at the field. Something's got to happen with the community. And I'm getting that little bleepity bleep from my phone right now. It says we're getting close to our end of our time. So to wrap it up real quick, Rage Customs, check them out. They're actually sponsoring us now, Rage Custom Airsoft. They're here in Florida, which you're in Florida, I'm in Florida, they're in Florida. Kind of a good situation. Don't forget to check out Tacticool Imaging, again, for our cool little banner up front where
Thank you
Piper
for that.
almost looks a little cooler than I do. So this is Drew, aka Lil Reaper, mid cap for life, scripted mid caps.
And this is Legion, aka Tyler. Sometimes high caps are okay.
We're out.